Finally, a sports card dealer on YouTube that is giving us the truth. Can you believe it?
Whoa.
What's going on, sports card hobby family? It's another day. It's another sports card video. Hopefully you're doing amazingly well. It's hump day, middle of the week, heading to New Orleans to watch the Saints with my family take on the Cleveland Browns. It's the battle of the lowly. Jameis Winston back in town in New Orleans. It's going to be a fun game. It's either going to be like Browns 40, Saints 7 because Jameis is going to go off, or it could be 40-7 Saints. You just never know. Jameis Winston is the ultimate hit or miss quarterback. I've seen it firsthand. Before I get into the honest dealer that I actually found on YouTube, I'm just kidding. There's actually lots and lots of great sports card dealers that are out there, non-sports dealers and so forth. I'm just having a little bit of fun here. But what we typically see on YouTube is not what this guy is sharing, and so I'm excited to share this with you. But first, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com, a new deal in town with SGC grading. So now through COMC, you've got PSA, you've got SGC, and you've got CGC. So you've got a lot of different options for whether it be PC cards or if it's stuff that you're looking to get it off to PSA, maybe get a PSA 10, maybe get an SGC 10, and you can resell it right there on COMC, the whole thing working together. COMC is the place to be for a sports card hobbyist. Check out my links down below to start your COMC journey today. All right, so I haven't seen this guy put a video out in a while. It's the Card Boss on YouTube. Didn't know a lot about this guy. And watch this video. I believe he said that he's in Malaysia and he has been selling sports cards full time for 1 year. So for the last year, he has gone from having a career as an accountant. This is another reason I wanted to listen to this guy immediately. The second he said, I'm an accountant, and then I moved out of that to be in sports cards for a year, I wanted to listen to what he had to say because obviously accountants, they're counting everything. They're watching the money. They're paying attention. And this guy had some just absolute gold to share with everybody. And just, it was funny because it's stuff that you just don't see very often. Okay, so the first thing he says is get your house in order, essentially. Like if you're going to make this jump, if you're going to take the dive into the deep end of the pool, you're going to buy and sell sports cards for a living. It's one thing to do it as a side hustle, one thing to do it as just kind of a hobby or to fund your hobby. It is a whole other animal, I can only imagine, doing it full time to feed your family and so forth. So basically just saying, hey, look, make sure you have savings, make sure you get your house in order so you're not just flippantly doing it, just making a quick decision to go ahead and make this your livelihood. Thought that was great. Secondly, niche down. So his advice was, hey, look, don't try to be the master of everything. Just figure out kind of a niche and dive into that, really understand that world. There's going to be collectors within that world. I know for a lot of people, this could be wrestling cards. I remember at the National, there was a guy, it was the guy that Neo was talking to buy the Robert Downey Jr. autograph that the dealer actually did sell, the 2008 Rittenhouse. And that guy is just known for having great non-sports stuff. He's kind of the go-to guy for that. And his booth was slamming the entire National. And it's not as if he had like, oh, it had some amazing, place at the, like he had an amazing table spot or anything. It was just, the guy had really, really good stuff, but it was all very niche stuff. It's really rare Marvel autos, or it's Game of Thrones. He had some Stranger Things stuff. He had a William Shatner and the guy that played Spock, the dual auto. He had all sorts of different things. But again, this guy clearly had found his niche and was doubling down there. So he says niche down in this video. Don't try to be the king of everything and just kind of find your spot there. All right, and then I'm not going to reveal all of his tips, but the biggest one, keep your books tight. Isn't this funny when we think about especially card YouTubers and just the buying and the selling and, oh, I just made this huge deal. I just made this huge trade. And one thing he does say in this video is make sure you document every single transaction. How much is that happening at a lot of these card shows and with these vloggers? With the vloggers going through and like, oh man, we're going to trade this and trade that. We're going to buy that and sell that down here. We're going to throw it over here and flip it behind the back over there. Are they writing anything? I don't know if I've ever seen a show, like a card vlog YouTube video. Now, granted, I don't watch a ton of them, but where they're actually like writing, like you actually see them like making a note of that transaction. I know that sometimes they'll like take a picture I guess to be able to go back. I'm hoping that they just, maybe that gets edited out. Maybe that's on the cutting room floor because that's considered boring. But I think for like people like me, like the average Joe, it would be like, that makes sense. Like you're taking stock of like the transaction that just happened. I know that they have to be tracking it in some way, but this guy, again, being an accountant, make sure that your books are all in order so that not only, of course, if the government wants to see it for tax purposes, yes, you have it there, but also so that you can make proper buying and selling decisions. If you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, you don't really know if you're up, if you're down. It's just kind of like the wild, wild west. And that's kind of what the sports card market is just wild west style stuff. And so I thought this was really refreshing. This is like a guy with a brain out here talking about how to buy and sell cards. And he's in Malaysia, so it's not as if he's in the United States and has easy access to big shows and inventory and that sort of thing. So if he's able to be successful where he is, that's tremendous. So shout out to the Card Boss. I'll put a link to his video down here below. And this is stuff I'd like to see more of. And like I said, I know a lot of dealers that track all their stuff. There is a lot of great collectibles dealers out there. So I'm joking when I say like I finally found one because there are lots of them. But there's also a ton of people and dealers that don't do any of this stuff, which I think is really interesting. And then throw it up on YouTube to show how cool they are as the vlogger, as a show vlogger. But anyway, we could learn something from this guy, the Card Boss. Check out his video. Friends, have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll talk to you again later.